The NASCAR Xfinity Series kicks off their season at Daytona International Speedway, and we see a lot of chaos, a lot of craziness, and we see a wild, chaotic finish where a car goes into the catch fence, and we see the RCR bunch and Chevy pick up another victory at Daytona International Speedway. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. I just got done watching NASCAR Xfinity Series race from Daytona International Speedway, the Beef It's What's for Dinner 300, and I have to say that this race actually was really good, much better than the ARC race that we saw today, but this is a pretty good race. Let's go ahead and just jump into the race. So, for the green flag drop in this race, a couple drivers have to go to the rear field. Guys like Sam Mayer, Ryan Trix, and Shane Lee would have to go to the rear field for unapproved adjustments. So, on the start of the race, we see Daniel Hemrick lead from the outside, and Dan Austin will lead from the inside, and Daniel Hemrick is able to get the race lead. And on lap 1 as well, we would see Anthony Alfredo in the 23 car this year. He unfortunately would lose the right side window, and unfortunately, a few laps later, he would get black flagged by NASCAR and would have to come to the rear. And then Daniel Hemrick would lose the lead for a little bit after Dawson Hill got it for a little bit, and we see Daniel Hemrick get the lead back and pretty much dominate the next portion of this race. And then the first incident caution in this race came out very early in this race on lap 14 between Drew Dollar and Jeremy Clements. Drew Dollar got really loose. There was a big check going into turn number 2. Drew Dollar got very loose and got very sideways, and he overcorrected up in the track and unfortunately collected Jeremy Clements. Both cars would get a ton of damage, and unfortunately Sam Mayer would collect some damage, and unfortunately didn't really check up really that well, and unfortunately spun out on the backstretch. And then we see some cars actually taking some strategy here. We see guys like AJ Allmendinger, Justin Allgaier, Jesse Wuji come down the road while the rest of the leaders decided to stay out. So on the race, I have Daniel Hemrick on the outside and Landon Castle on the inside, and Dan Hemrick is able to keep the race lead. With AJ Allmendinger, who was coming to the front, he was starting to get there, and we saw some really great racing, guys going side by side. And then eventually they kind of started going single file up on the train with around 3 or 4 laps to go, probably trying to click off and conserve some laps, and the racing started looking really good. But coming off the corner, people tried to be really aggressive, but nothing happened coming off the corner as Daniel Hemrick would win stage number 1 here at Daytona. Then we see some strategy in this race. Guys like Brandon Brown, Noah, Sam Mayer, and Jeb Burton took fuel only, while the rest leaders decided to go ahead and take 4 tires. A couple guys took 2 tires, and a lot of guys decided to take 4 tires. So on the restart, Joe Graf Jr., yes, heard that right, Joe Graf Jr. race started from the lead on the inside, and Brandon Brown was on the outside, and Brandon Brown was able to eventually get around Joe Graf Jr. on the restart. And then around 10 laps later, Noah Gragson decided to make a move around 12 laps to go in stage number 2. He was able to get the race lead. And with Noah Gragson had the lead for the next part of this race, and on the last lap of stage number 1, Daniel Hemrick tried to make a move to the inside on Noah Gragson, and Noah Gragson nearly wrecked the car, but he had a really impressive save, very similar to Kyle Busch's save in 2012 at Daytona. Had a really impressive save, and basically Daniel Hemrick got the race lead for Noah Gragson, but Noah decided to back out and not get the points because it was not worth wrecking the car. And coming off the corner of it, Daniel Hemrick would go ahead and win stage 2 here at Daytona. And then we see all the leaders decide to come down pit road with Daniel Hemrick, AJ Allmendinger all coming down pit road. And then we would see on the restart, Daniel Hemrick lead the outside and AJ Allmendinger on the inside. And Daniel Hemrick is able to get the race loose, the lead a little bit from Ty Gibbs, and then he got the lead back from Ty Gibbs. And then Ty Gibbs got around Daniel Hemrick a little bit later in this race. And then we basically see some strategy happen where the couple of the color cars, all the color cars actually decided to come down pit road. Daniel Hemrick, AJ Allmendinger, and Landon Castle all came down pit road to basically top off on field. I thought I was getting a little bit close to be making it to the end, but there were 47 to go. And then a lap later, we would see most of the rest of the leaders all come down pit road, with Sam Mayer unfortunately spinning coming into pit road. Get some contact, unfortunately, off from Riley Hurst. Riley Hurst tried to, unfortunately, run into the back of him, and unfortunately, Sheldon Creed also came down him in, and we see Sam Mayer get a lot of damage. Unfortunately, he would get black flag, and we basically then see a lot of other leaders come down pit road, and then we see a lot of other people also come down pit road as well, and then the caution would come out with around 37 laps to go. First, Sam Mayer, whose bumper comer unfortunately came off of turn number 4, bringing out the caution race with 37 laps to go. So on they would see all the leaders come down pit road, with Daniel Hemrick actually having to pit to basically work on the front of his car, and he would get 4 tires, and unfortunately, he would get a speeding penalty as well with that situation. Also, Jeffrey Hart would get an uncontrolled tire penalty as well. Then, because of that, he would go to the rear. Daniel Hemrick, who was a dominant car early, he would have to go to the rear of the field. So, on the restart, I have Austin Hill on the inside and Noah Gragson was second on the outside. And then on that restart as well, we would see CJ McLaughlin get shoved out of the draft. going into the apron, turning into the back, and basically CJ McLaughlin careened way back up into the racetrack and collected a bunch of cars, including Brett Moffitt, Jeffrey Hernard, Daniel Hamrick, Shane Lee, and a bunch of other cars would get involved in that wreck, including Shane Lee, Tommy Joe Martins, and Joey Gase as well. And then we would then see go back racing with 30 to go after that big wreck with a lot of cars unfortunately falling off, with Austin Hill leading the inside and Noah Gragson second on the outside. And Austin was able to get the race lead. And then we basically see Landon Castle push AJ Allmendinger to the race lead, and he kept the race lead. And then we basically start seeing some three-wide racing, some really, really good racing with Austin Hill taking the race lead. And then AJ Allmendinger with 15 laps to go, he took the race lead around 15 laps to go. And then basically became a single file train race up to this point where teams decided to make some decisions. So you guys were basically setting up for the end of the race after 2 or 3 wide racing. Some teams basically decided to make some really, really big moves and started seeing a lot of chaos and really, really crazy action. So on lap 120, we started seeing a lot of drivers start making some moves. We see AJ come back at turn number 4. Then Noah Gragson decided to go to the inside, who was running 3rd or 4th at the time, and Austin Hill came down to block. And then on the last lap, a lot of chaos started happening. Austin Hill tried to push a side drive down the backstretch, and basically Anthony Alfredo shot my sider, who got sideways off the corner. And then the big one came off of turn number 2 with Austin Hill holding the race lead, and Austin Hill basically was able to get the race lead, while my sider basically careened way up into the racetrack, and a ton of cars got involved. My sider would get a ton of damage as he careened into the outside wall with a ton of massive damage. And unfortunately, Austin Hill would be, my sider would get into the outside wall extremely hard. Luckily for my sider, he was okay. He got out of the car, but a ton of damage on the catch fence, and the catch fence would get destroyed. Like I said, luckily for my sider, he unfortunately would be okay coming out of the car. Because of that, the race would end under yellow. You have to throw the caution at that point. And Austin Hill, under caution, holds off AJ Allmendinger in his first start with Rich Childress Racing. He comes off the corner, and he's able to pick up his first win in his NASCAR Xfinity Series career with Richard Childress Racing. Just think about this. 3 years ago, Austin Hill goes into Tory Racing, and he has the race lead and wins with Tory Racing. 3 years later, goes RCR Racing Xfinity, and he picks up his first victory. Huge congratulations to Austin Hill on picking up his first career victory. I think Austin Hill is someone that's going to be very, very strong throughout this season. I think he's someone that's going to be underdog to win the championship, and he kicks off the year in a very, very big way. Huge congratulations huge congratulations to Austin Hill on picking up his first career victory. I know it's kind of crazy and chaotic, but huge congratulations to Austin Hill on getting his first career victory in this race. So let's now go through the results of this race. Actually, before that, I want to say thank God my sider is okay after the ish situation. Thank God he's all right, because that was a very scary incident. Luckily, he's all right, and he walked away with half the repair of the cash fence. So now let's take a look at results. Austin Hill picks up his first career NASCAR Xfinity Series victory. AJ Allmendinger finished his second. Very strong run for AJ Allmendinger. I thought he's actually going to go ahead and hang on to win the race. Regardless, a top 5 finish. Strong run for him in second. Noah Gragson finished his third. Very strong run for him. Ran top 5 all night. Good run for him. He finishes in third. Riley Herbst finishes 4th. A good start to the year for Riley Herbst. Hopefully this year can be better for him. Good run for him. He finishes in 4th. Justin Allgaier finishes 5th. A very solid top 5 finish for Justin Allgaier. He finishes 5th in this race. Sheldon Creed, solid top 10 run. He wasn't really a factor most of the night, but he bounced back to a 6th place finish. He gets a good run in 6th. Anthony Alfredo, after being 2 laps down nearly and 1 lap down nearly most of the race, he bounces back to a top 10 finish in 7th position. Good run for him. Ryan Sieg finishes 8th. Really good run for Ryan Sieg in this race in a 39 car. Good start to the year after a really struggling year last year. A really good run for him. He finishes in 8th. Josh Bilicki finishes 9th with DGM Racing. Great run for Josh Bilicki in 9th position. Solid run. He finishes in 9th. And Brandon Brown finishes 10th. Good start to the year for Brandon Brown with a solid top 10 finish. Ty Gibbs finishes 11th, technically his first super speedway start. Good run for him in 11th position. Ryan Truex finishes 12th after basically, I think, being a lap down at one point. He comes back and finishes 12th. Good run for him. J.J. Lee finishes in the top 15 in 13th position. Landon Castle with College Racing finishes 14th. He was in the top 5 and top 10 most of his race, but got shoveled out lane. I think got involved in the big one too. He finishes in 14th. Jeffrey Hart, who's struggling, was a lap down, had battery problems, bounced back to 15th place finish. Solid run for him. Josh Berry finishes in 16th. Again, Josh Berry, first Super Speedway race. Not a bad run for him in 16th. Brandon Jones finishes in 17th. Ryan Vargas finishes 18th. The star of the day when it comes to qualifying. Ryan Vargas really good in qualifying, qualified up front. Didn't really transfer in the race, but regardless, he finishes in 18th. Jeb Byrne finishes 19th, a solid top 20 run for him, who basically barely had to qualify in. He finishes in 19th. And Bailey Curry rounds out the top 20. Kyle Seek finishes in 21st. Mai Snyder finishes 22nd. Jay Beaver finishes 23rd. Tommy Joe Martins finishes 24th. Matt Mills finishes in 25th. Joey Gase finished 26th. 27th place finish for Jesse Uji. I want to talk about Jay Beaver for a second. Had an incredible race, ran top 5 all day long. I think Jay Beaver is someone that's going to be fun to watch this year, as he unfortunately finished 23rd. Then Daniel Hemrick finishes in 28th. Unfortunately, again, who had probably the best car most of the night, and my pick to win, but unfortunately, he did not get a good finish in the race. Joe Graf Jr. finishes in 29th. Sam Mayer finishes in 30th. Josh Williams finishes in 31st. 32nd place finisher Kyle Weatherman. 33rd for Shane Lee. 34th for Brett Moffitt, who I thought was going to be a bigger factor than he was, but he also did, to be fair, get involved in a big one. CJ McLaughlin, who was made a rookie mistake, he finishes 35th. Drew Dollar, after him getting loose off the backstretch, he basically crashed down, finished 36th. Jeremy Clements has some interesting comments we'll talk about later this week. He finishes in 37th. And finishing last in 30th position, we have Cesar Baccarello. So now let's talk about the overall race as a whole, give you my score of today's race at Daytona International Speedway. So overall, I thought the Xfinity Series race was really, really good. Also, broadcast was not horrendous, by the way. But I will say that this race was pretty good in my opinion. Yes, you had your slow burner moments throughout the race, especially in stage 2, where kind of was a slow burner. But in the beginning, it was really, really good. You had your slow burner moments and moments where it wasn't as good of racing as a whole. But at the end of the day, you had an incredible, a very, very fast pace and a really, really skilled and awesome race. And in my opinion, I thought it was a very, very good race for Super Speedway. This might end up being the best race because we don't know how the Daytona 500 is going to go. But like I said, huge, massive congratulations to the winner of this race, basically being Austin Hill and RCR. My score of tonight's race at Daytona International Speedway is a 9 out of 10. I thought it was a very solid and a very good race. I know the finish could have been a little better, because, again, I know people are going to say, why didn't we go back to the finish line and basically run to the end? Well, you had a car that basically got into the cash fence, so that's why NASCAR decided to not go ahead and throw the caution. Basically decided to throw the caution and not let them race back to the checkered flag because they got a cash fence destroyed. You don't want parts, pieces from that coming down. So anyway, that is the race. So that is the race if you're from Daytona International Speedway for Xfinity. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications, be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow my Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Link description below for that. And comment your thoughts on today's race. What are your thoughts on today's race? The beat is What's for Dinner 300. Let me know below. Let me know your score and the thoughts below. And congratulate Austin Hill on picking up his first career NASCAR Xfinity Series victory at Daytona. Let me know it in the comments below. I've got a massive project. My 1,000 subscriber special is going to be 2023 NASCAR Cup Series driver lineup predictions. And we're also going to have some other stuff coming as well on the week. But tomorrow's also the Daytona 500. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm very excited about that as well. So anyway, guys, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.